Hey, 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 what's up, everybody? This is the coach, and I'm on with the kid, and you're listening to the Indoor Football Experience. We moved the show along, and we appreciate everything that our producer Harry's done for us. And we're on now Monday nights, prime time, so 9:15 Eastern Standard Time. So we appreciate everybody joining the show. And RJ, the kid, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How about you, Coach?
Excellent. It's good to be back on with you, and it's nice to be working with a show that's uh, moving forward.
I agree wholeheartedly. It feels good, man.
Yeah, so really like this spot that we're in right now, and we get a chance to really recap the weekend right after things go down. They're really fresh still. So you're listening to the Indoor Football Experience. I'm the coach. That's the kid. You can check us out live on Skype at live at AFNN_1. So. What were you checking out? What was the game of the week for you this weekend, RJ?
Game of the week. That's always a hard one, but I think it goes to Champions Indoor Football. The Amarillo Venom went to Sioux City to take on the Bandits. That game basically came down to the wire. The Bandits edged out a victory 79-71.
Yeah, and a great game. That's you had kind of touched on a couple of things with Amarillo, and it's just it's that time of the year where you kind of see teams are starting to play a high level of football and see if they can position themselves for the playoffs.
Absolutely. It's this time of year that really makes or breaks a team.
My game of the week would be the Sioux Falls Storm squeaking it out in IFL action, 57-56 over the Danger, and Sioux Falls Storm improved to 9-2, and Nebraska Danger fall to 5-6 on
That's a
the
huge
season.
loss. I
Yeah,
mean,
it really puts a damper in their potential and that potential playoff situation for the Danger this year.
yeah, because the Danger looked really strong at the beginning, and you don't want to see a strong team, all of a sudden just hit the brakes right before the finish line.
Yeah, it really came down to great first half by both teams as a Danger and the Storm each score 14 alike in the opening quarter, and then the second quarter the Danger put up 20 points and the Sioux Falls Storm put up 17, so they go into halftime, real close ball game. Really, when you're in a track meet like that, you've got to keep up. And what happened to the Dangers? They only scored 6 points in the third quarter, and the Storm put up a couple touchdowns and conversions for 14, and that was all she wrote. Late comeback by Nebraska with 16 fourth quarter points. Storm put up another dozen, another 12 to be able to close out a close ball game. But again, in a track meet, you have to keep up, and you have to be able to trade touchdown for touchdown.
Absolutely, and you'll see this on any indoor arena league. If it's a track meet, the defenses in these leagues have a lot harder for time because the game is specialized for offensive scoring. No matter how good your defense is, the offense needs to be able to capitalize because the drives are much shorter, the field is much smaller, so it's a lot easier to get into the end zone. So your defense makes a play, the offense better capitalize on it.
Absolutely. In the indoor game, you always take a look at time of possession, and a lot of times time of possession can be misleading. But the Danger with 30 little over 31 minutes and change and time of possession, and the Sioux Falls Storm with 28 minutes and 41 seconds, close to 29 minutes. So that extra couple minutes, those are opportunities, and those were probably the lost opportunities in the third quarter where they just weren't able to keep up. So Danger really, excuse me, the Storm are really positioning themselves for the playoffs, and it looks to be like it's going to be, everybody trying to catch Arizona in the IFL.
Yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that, if I'm being honest. I mean, the Rattlers and the Storm are the two, in my mind, model organizations of that league. When you think IFL, I think Sioux Falls Storm, but then I'm like, oh yeah, and the Rattlers, because I still sometimes think AFL when I say Rattlers, even though they've been in the IFL for a while. But they're coming off the United Bowl victory, so I'm thinking, oh no, pardon me, that's Iowa off the United Bowl victory. But Arizona's like one of the most dominant teams, one of the best run teams in my opinion. Congrats to Kevin Guy getting his 200th career win, by the way. It's a big accomplishment, no matter what league you're in. But at such a professional level, congrats to him for doing a great job. But I think the Rattlers are a great organization. They draw amazing crowds at Talking Stick Resort Arena, and it really seems they're going to be changing arenas for a little bit soon because it's going under renovation.
Yeah, again, a lot of teams have had a struggle either coming over from AFL two to the Arena two, or from the AFL to the IFL. So what I'm saying is, from an attendance standpoint, AFL two, AF Arena two teams and arena football teams have struggled when they have made the switch to the IFL. The Arkansas Twisters are a prime example of this. They drew, over 12, 14,000 for a good 3-4 seasons of their existence in the Verizon Center in Little Rock, and they switched to the IFL, where they were the lone season of the
Diamonds.
Arkansas Diamonds, and attendance really fell off, almost half. It was tough to get 7,000 for whatever reason. So kudos to the Barnstormers, who again fall a little bit into the conversation that you're having, just for their steady existence, and they win. I mean, after they're the defending IFL champions, so they're going to have something to say about all this one way or another when the playoffs start in the IFL. But kudos just to those organizations for being able to keep up and keep their fan base, and switch it from the arena product to the indoor product.
Yeah, it is a big transition because the fans are a bit different. I think some people think it's a different quality or what have you, but to me, if you got a team, you got a team. You got to represent that team because it's never a guarantee that you're going to keep them.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you're just thankful. It's like you go on kind of like here, you go on a 10, 11-year run of having a team, and then you don't have one. It's you appreciate being able to have an arena or an indoor team, and you want all the right thing, all the right and positive things for that team to be able to exist, and that all starts with marketing and the type of product that you put on the field.
Absolutely. And I saw something really bizarre when we talk about marketing. This is from the American West Football Conference, a startup league made by the Idaho Horsemen and their facilities, their companies, because they didn't feel like joining the IFL or the CIF. So they started their own league. And they are not live streaming their games. And they were asked this on Facebook, why aren't you doing that? And coach, listen to this response because I think it's one of the craziest things I've ever heard. Quote, the goal is to get fans to the arenas. By streaming games online, local fans can watch games from home. Home teams would miss out on revenue. Like, okay, I get part of the idea. You want the local people to show out. But if I'm trying to watch the game as a fan, from anywhere but the local market, how am I supposed to do that? You get shaky footage on your Facebook feed. I can't follow that.
Yeah, the YouTube product has improved so much over the last couple seasons that seems to be the way to go for teams, and that's almost like in its own separate department now. So it's like you said, you don't. It's like anything. Don't put it out there if it's not quality. And some of the feeds that you see, and man, I really don't. I don't want to start naming and names and this and that, but the companies and the outfits that are trying to put on games for some of these leagues. And really, what I'm seeing is, if it isn't YouTube, that's what's working. If it isn't YouTube, it should be, because some of the other companies that are doing streaming or game day stuff, it seems to be lacking.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, some of the other, I don't know, depends on the league. I think for some of the higher American Arena League teams, I think Facebook works adequately enough for the Carolina Havoc because they aren't trying to be something they're not, which is like this, um, the best of all teams of all time type thing. They kind of know they're in the AAL, and the AAL, if you're not aware, doesn't have the best reputation. And Facebook works for that league if it has a good quality stream because there's no static. It's passable, I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, for that league, I think is exactly a good point that you make. That is adequate. Other leagues that are at a higher level, they can't rely on a handheld Facebook footage. They have to have a product in, and like I said, I don't like taking shots at companies and this and that because I feel like everybody's trying to do the right thing, but it seems like most of the complaints that I hear on what's going on Pluto. I watch a number of the games on YouTube like you do, and I really rarely have a problem. Heck, we talked about just a couple weeks ago, there were games on almost every league that was possible. And between the IFL and the National Arena League, you could easily have had 6 or 7 screens open, and I had no problem with the YouTube feed.
Oh yeah, and with having the this is kind of like something to do make you feel like you have a little more money than you have. Is like when you have all the tabs open, you got yourself a nice cold drink and some food. I mean, you feel like a millionaire. And the YouTube windows are smaller than the other windows, and I know it's a small thing, but it makes all the difference in the world to me.
Yeah, again, it's about quality, a quality product, like I've said. But one thing that's great is the YouTube product has evolved, and I really think this is their best year with most of the game day broadcasts that I've watched. In those two leagues that I just previously mentioned, the IFL and the National Arena League, I really haven't had any problems whatsoever when I watch games, CIF games, I have had issues like I read about or whatever. So again, everything being Google based, sometimes these days that's the way to go. YouTube seems to be convenient and working.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. So, also shout out to the San Diego Strike Force. We did touch on the Rattlers while we go around the horn a little bit here. They did fall to Arizona, but 84-63, and again, you put up 63, you're at least keeping yourself in the ball game. You just came up a little short. So kudos to them. We've talked about all the first year franchises in the IFL. It's a lot to ask for them to go down south and to really take on the established arena team and the Rattlers, and they were able to hang in there.
Yeah, I mean, when you're an expansion team, you have very little experience, from the entire organization work as a whole. You may have some veteran players, but everybody working together is kind of still new. And I gotta say, I'm really impressed with the product the Strike Force put out there. Because first year and for a while they're going blow for blow with one of the best IFL teams there is of all time, and currently, in my mind, the most dominant. So the fact they lasted as long as they did without really falling behind that far, and then when they lost, it wasn't a massive blowout. I mean, all the props to them for putting on a great product because those are the kind of games that will bring more fans in. Those closer games that think you have a chance of winning because if you're getting your butt kicked every week, losing by like 60 points, I'm sorry, I may love the sport a lot, but it's going to be harder for you to convince me to come to a game. But I'm thinking, hey, we got a shot winning this. I'm going to drop $20 on, like, $40 on a ticket when we come see this live.
Yeah, definitely. So, and you again, we talked about you don't want the blowout. So, good job by the Strike Force and San Diego. Again, falling to the Rattlers. On to the what other game I wanted to talk about? Oh, I wanted to talk about the Iowa Barnstormers. defeating the Green Bay Blizzard 54-49.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big win, no matter how you are going to look at it. Because the Blizzard, like the Danger, are both fighting for that final spot in the playoffs for the IFL.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
because they lost and Tucson won, all of a sudden you got a really tight race going on. And, congratulations to Tucson for winning their game, 52-40. But, as far as the Iowa game goes, I mean, Green Bay put up a great fight against the defending United Bowl champions, and that's an impressive feat in itself. But that was a big game because, had they gotten the win, they would have taken a little bit of a larger lead of the pack between them, Nebraska, Tucson. Now it's neck and neck going down the stretch, and the question is, who's going to get win at the photo finish?
Yep, no doubt about it. That's the kid, and I'm the coach. And if you're just joining in, you're listening to the Indoor Football Experience, and you can listen to us live at afnn.net. Got a bunch of people checking in on our Facebook feed that we have going right now, so make sure that you check that out. I'm on, and RJ's on as well. And if not, I know he'll be going live or share real soon. And we're just sitting here wrapping up our coverage of talking about the IFL. So we hope to have a special guest on here soon. And in the meantime, like I said, thanks for joining us, everybody, on Facebook. Again, I'm the coach, and that's the kid. RJ, talking a little bit about the National Arena League, and not much really going on, but let's move and chat about what happened in the National Arena League. What do you got for us?
Alrighty, so the Carolina Cobras took on the Columbus Lions, and if you're following the NIL this year, you know the Cobras are the team to beat. They have, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the league with Charles McCollum, the best receiving core in the league, led by Jordan Jolly. You have the best linebacker in the league with Vacchio. You have the best coach in the league with Coach Billy Back.
Right.
I mean, you have all the experience, and they are very active in recruiting. They're like, we're content with this veteran roster. They're always bringing in young talent. And a couple of their guys graduated to the AFL this year. You had Craig Peterson, their former kicker, moving up. You had Tyron Laughinghouse going to the Atlantic City Blackjacks after a time with the Cobras. When I first saw the Cobras were bringing Coach back in McCollum, I'm like, oh man, this is going to be a dynasty. I'm
Right.
like, because they worked great together all the way back in their time when with the Commandos in Cincinnati. Then they went to Wichita Falls together, the Alabama Hammers, the whole 9 yards. Or was it the Nashville Venom? One of the two. But, the Lions took a big hit in the offseason because they lost their all-star quarterback, Mason Espinoza, who was the league MVP last year. He moved up to the AFL, and Columbus has tried to fill the hole with Luke Collis, who's not done a bad job per se, but he hasn't done a dominant job either. And that's what the Lions are sorely missing right now. And in any indoor arena league, if you're not having the greatest quarterback, it's going to be really hard for you guys to be the team in the league.
Right. You still there, RJ?
Yes, I am.
Lost you for a second. So, just talking about the now, I like the what the Cobras are doing, like you said, and a couple of the players, like you mentioned, Jolly and McCallum, those guys have been winners, and they've been top performers in the leagues that they've been in over the years, and really top performers in all of the industry over the last couple of years, still playing at a high level.
Definitely. And, going from that game to the return of the Predators Sharks rivalry.
Yep.
This rivalry was, for a long time, one of the biggest rivalries in the Arena Football League. the Sharks left after the Predators folded a few years after that happened. They start the NAL, and then you have the Predators coming back, who are not the same franchise, but the same name resurrected. Kenny McIntyre's leading him down there in Orlando. But it's obvious which the more established team is. I mean, Jacksonville is, the team with the resume, the big names, and they showed out and absolutely demolished the Predators, 61-7. And listen, I don't want a dominant win, but this is kind of hard. But at the same time, if you're the fans, don't get discouraged, don't give up, because if you're happy the Predators are back, go out, support, because if Kenny McIntyre sees, hey, people aren't showing up, and I asked him personally, if you put it anywhere, where would you put it? He said Lakeland, Florida, because the Tarpons just followed him. I'm like, hey, don't at all even have a thought running through Kenny's mind that, hey, maybe the people in Lakeland will support us better than they are in Orlando. So show up, show out, but the big story of the game is not the final score. The biggest story is quarterback for the Sharks, Jonathan Bain, looks like he's done for the year with a knee injury, and that is a huge blow to the Sharks. They made so many moves in the offseason, taking quarterbacks left and right, looking at them. One of them was Jake Medlock, who's currently with the Sugar Skulls in the IFL, and man, it's bad luck for Jonathan Bain because, he had a dominant season in Portland, Maine last season, but, the injury bug shows no mercy, and the Sharks are going to have to figure something out.
Yeah, definitely something that's part of the business. And, it looked like that they had really settled in with Bain at the quarterback position. But again, injuries are part of what happens in this business. It's unfortunate. It's the worst part of it at any level that you're involved, whether you're an official, a coach, front office member. So it's just something that you kind of become trained to really deal with, so hopefully they can get that situation resurrected, and hopefully Bain can get rehabbed and get back into action as soon as possible.
Yeah, and the Sharks have options. They can look to people. Someone who I thought honestly kind of, and I'm not saying you're going to sign him as a starter, but potential backup, maybe back to the start position, is the Reading Raptors quarterback from the MAIFL, Caleb Walton. Walton played last season for the Lehigh Valley Steelhawks the majority of the time, and although the Steelhawks had an abysmal season, I'm not going to fight that claim. I covered them. The thing about Walton was when he was given time by his offensive line, which wasn't that often, unfortunately, he was able to drop some dimes. And
yeah,
he the most stacked receiving core, or the greatest of head coaches. So I mean, he might be a bit of a project per se, but he's definitely worth taking on as a backup just in case you need someone to come in there.
Particularly since their season hasn't really been going that long. I would say if it would be a little deeper in the season for them, that's at a point where you always look for a coach, a coach player coach relationship from the past or something like that. Take a look at the coaches that are on the staff, what quarterbacks they've been around, because whoever comes in, and indoor quarterbacks, man, are amazing. They come in and learn systems. I'm sure the coaches have a lot to do with how they install when a new guy comes in and this and that. But I've seen flawless transition sometimes when a guy comes in and a week of practice, 2-3 practices, 2-3 film sessions, and he goes out and has a stellar game. So he's got able to move around. There's a lot of movement in the industry, and like we talk about, and really the quarterbacks, man, kudos to those guys. They got to be on top of their games, because generally if you leave an organization and the indoor level, you're done, and you won't be coming back.
Yeah, it is rare for quarterbacks to leave and then come back, but like you said, it's a lot of player-coach relationships. Like I said, when I saw McCollum and Billy Beck moving together, that was a big thing for me to see. Look for those pairings. Look, all right, who's coaching team X and who's quarterback Y? Do they have a history? Because there are certain styles of play that really go together with a coach's mindset. There's a term system quarterback, and some people are, some people aren't. Assistant quarterback, for those who are unaware, are quarterbacks that specifically thrive in a certain system. So let's take Dean Fouts, for example. He was a bit of an assistant quarterback in the 1980s. He was with Don Coryell's Air Coryell office in San Diego. And, that was a big thing. Put him in a position where he'd have to run a bit more, and you might have issues. But then there are guys who are just great in any system you got, and those are the guys that are able to jump from team to team to team to team and not needing the pairing as much.
Yeah, and I don't, the the correlation of player coach relationship, like we said, is so key, and a lot of the quarterbacks will follow those coaches around. You mentioned a great example of what's going on with Carolina. Look at that roster. A lot of those players were, have been in other organizations with the head coach and a couple other coaches on the coaching staff. So it's just really, really key, particularly this time of year. But you're always going to look for a guy that's had some success. And I would think if a guy's played for the Steelhawks, again, that's the kind of experience that they look for on the indoor level. He would have a chance to get signed.
Absolutely. And, one of always my kind of favorite stories are the guys who you don't expect, and they just come out and ball out and do amazing. It's like going to a movie that you don't think is going to be good, and they're like, hey, that was really good. Like, that's like when I first watched Guardians of the Galaxy, I came in with a low bar expectation. I'm like, man, this is good, Marvel. Those are the kind of stories you like to read and see play out before you.
And my National Arena League transaction of the week is the Massachusetts Pirates signing former NFL All-Pro wide receiver and kick returner Dexter McCluster.
I mean, this is huge, not only for the league, but for the industry. I mean, Adam Schefter, the NFL analyst, the big kahuna of announcements, tweets the Massachusetts Pirates have signed Dexter McCluster. That's major exposure for the National Arena League, for the Massachusetts Pirates, for the sport as a whole. And McCluster is an amazing player. And, what I didn't necessarily like about that is it came around the same time was Von Pearson left the Pirate. I was traded to the Cobras for some looks. So clearly the Pirates are playing a long-term game. The Cobras are like, we'll take Mr. Pearson off your hands right now so we can be dominant. But, back to McCluster, I'm happy to see him back playing football at a high level. And, hopefully I get to see him play in person because, I had the pleasure of seeing him play when he was with the Chiefs one time in Pittsburgh, but the seats aren't the same. It's an experience to maybe I'll get an interview done with the guy if he's available. But I'm just happy to see the guys continuing to play the sport that he loves at a high level and the industry getting the exposure it deserves.
Yeah, most definitely. And those are the kind of signings you need, when you I mean, this guy, 4 seasons with the Chiefs. It was a Pro Bowl selection in 2013. He spent some time with the Tennessee Titans and the San Diego Chargers, and a little cup of coffee up in Canada. Again, so we talk about the leagues here in the States, and it's good that the National Arena League can get a signing to this level because As much as they can have big name signings, it's always going to help the leagues, and the IFL needs that, and the National Arena League needs that as well. The Pirates also had another former NFL signing in Trey Jackson, former Patriot. So again, I wonder who the coaches are in there. If somebody maybe did an internship with a team in the NFL or what have you, giving them a chance to have those type of ends, because you have to have somebody on the inside to be able to make the phone call. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because, like, if I randomly message, let's say I'm reaching out to someone who just, like, maybe hung up the cleats because they feel the NFL takes them away from the family for too long travel. If I reach out to a local guy, like, let's say I'm in the New England area saying, hey, Gronk, listen, you know, how do you feel about coming to play for the Massachusetts Pirates? I mean,
Right.
first of all, if you can make that happen, Pirates, I mean, that would be amazing. But, like, you can't just be a fan saying, hey, Gronk is this team in town. Like, I don't think Gronk will listen to the average fan for business decisions. But, if someone who knows Gronk says, and, who knows the NIL and indoor industry saying, hey, Gronk, it's just this great way to keep yourself in shape and whatnot and have fun with what you do and what you love, here you go.
Yeah, right. Hey, Gronk, here's a chance for you to take some more punishment to your body, some more hits. So um, this goes way way back. But again, a guy like a McCluster fits the indoor player profile as far as the scheme and the game strategy. And more than a Gronk, let's just be honest, man. McCluster's a small, speedy dude. Big guys that run in small spaces doesn't work out that great in indoor. Where there's small, quick guys there. So it would be great if some team could pull it off. I know teams have tried to, not necessarily since he started his baseball career, but I know a lot of indoor teams have gone after, say, Tim Tebow, for instance.
Yep, that's why I hear a lot, back when the AFL was around, the Apollos reached out saying, hey, Tebow, here's your college coach, Steve Spurrier. Want to do it? No, you want to play double A baseball? All right, good for you, man.
Right. So, again, as long as they can keep getting signings like that along the way, all the leagues will really help. It's hard to find a guy with the NFL background, even of a Dexter McCluster, that would want to play in leagues like this. But if the guy still wants to play, man, we need him to play here in the United States and not Canada. So. That's the thing I like about this signing for the Pirates. In case you're just joining in, you're listening to the Indoor Football Experience, and you can listen live at afnn.net. You can listen to the coach and the kid, and you can also check us out via Skype at AFNN_1. So get involved. We've got a number of people checking out the Facebook feed. So we appreciate anybody that's listening to the Facebook live feed tonight. And again, you're listening to the Indoor Football Experience with the coach and the kid. And we're talking a little indoor football league, a little National Arena League, and we're going to move on and discuss what's happening in the Champions Indoor Football League. And you did touch on one of their games a little earlier, the Bandits and Venom game. And Omaha and the Force really wasn't much of a game. So
The,
Omaha puts up another win.
yeah, the big news out of this league is a filler team, the NTEX Savages, will be filling in for a couple games. The Revolution couldn't attend because they folded mid-season. And, you sometimes see this happen. You don't see it happen a lot in other sports that I know of, but, you know, this is a spot where not only it's good for the people who are on those other teams to get some playing time, it's good for the team as a whole because, hey, if this team does well, it gets them more credibility and you help, hey, we're going to have you on standby in case something happens next season. It's a good way for you to build relationships with the league.
Yeah, definitely. And again, it's all about relationship building, and you wanna you wanna be able to kind of stay in your lane, but also have your organization ascending, your players ascending, and your coaches ascending too. And it's tough to do on all levels, but that's the goal. I like the things that I see going on, and the CIF. Yeah, they had a couple things that were black eyes to the league, so to speak. But those things happen, and as long as you're moving, forward, you're good to go. Let me turn my ESPN sounder down.
Yeah, CIF, I think, and I'm going to say it, I've probably said it 100 times before. I'm going to say it 100 times, again, and even then some. But the CIF and IFL are really interesting because if they didn't have their controversy about teams jumping ship, while under contract agreement, I could really see a couple teams trying to force a merger of sorts. And speaking about team jumping, there's an interesting development that's kind of going a bit under the radar, and I don't want to go too far under the radar. So the owner of the Amarillo Venom has bought a couple of teams in this new indoor soccer league, one of which was in Wichita Falls. Now, Wichita Falls was trying to leave for the CIF and this big switch debacle that happened a few years back involving the Bloomington Edge, Sioux Falls Storm, and West Michigan Ironman. The Nighthawks ultimately folded because of this, but this was a team that had McCollum, Jolly, Laughinghouse, Coach back, and and this is speculation. I know nothing positive yet, except that K Acre Coliseum, the arena in Wichita Falls, will be hosting an arena soccer team. And if you look at a lot of these leagues, these indoor soccer leagues share some markets with indoor football teams. I wouldn't be stunned to see a CIF team pop up in Wichita Falls, Texas, down the line.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. An area that's had success, so that's always what you're looking for. A lot of factors there. What it comes down to is, excuse me, each team, each league, excuse me, believes in their motto, in which they should running a business. So the Champions Indoor Football League, they believe in their motto. The Indoor Football League, they believe in their motto, and so on and so forth. So it's tough to bring those type. That's why you have a tough time bringing leagues together. So it's kind of twofold. Should all the leagues combine? Yeah, I get it. And then the IFL was a huge league at one time. That didn't really work too good. Or should all of the leagues maintain their business model and their demographic model? As far as where their teams are regionally located and this and that, and stick with the plan. It would be great to see like some kind of say if we had four teams and then each of the four leagues, excuse me, and then each of the champions played in like a just a semifinal and final. That would be cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like it'd be for bragging, right? It's kind of like the original UFC, which was founded on the principle of seeing which martial arts discipline is the best. I mean, this mini tournament would be about bragging rights.
Right.
And listen, if you know people in indoor football, they love to boast their credentials. And
Yeah.
it's another thing you can boast.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So that would be really the coolest thing to me. I would love to see that, and then that would cease a lot of the talk that goes on. So um, that would be something that would probably never ever happen for, like I said, a lot of times rule differences, and that puts up a lot of roadblocks in communication. Even when switching leagues, teams want to switch leagues and sometimes don't want to take on the other leagues' rules per se, and so that presents issues that come up when you're talking that type of stuff. So I'm kind of would prefer to see all of the leagues, like the leagues that we particularly talk about, including the American Arena League. I would like to see them all strengthen themselves and stick to their business models and make sure that all of their organizations are well structured. So again, like they can do, the things that we talk about. And first and foremost, what's important for an organization to do is start and finish the season.
Definitely. This landscape right now kind of reminds me of the territory days of professional wrestling, where each region had a territory that had its own unique thing. But what they did is they came together under a banner called the National Wrestling Alliance. What these leagues need to do, the NAL, the CIF, the IFL, and the AFL, if they're to come together under some kind of agreement, whether it's a unified rule set or just acknowledgement of each other in a friendly manner, that's the first step. Because what happened to all the territories eventually is they all became the WWE, through some savvy business tactics by Vincent Kennedy McMahon. But, point is that they eventually all united and, became something bigger than you ever thought they were going to be. Now, am I saying I want one league to buy out all the leagues? No, I don't want to see that happen, but what I do want to see happen is these leagues have some kind of working partnership, because right now the AFL has a rule where if you play a game in the NAL for the 2019 season, you cannot play in the AFL for the 2019 season. And that hurts the NAL.
Yeah, for the simple fact that they have the word arena in their league.
I mean, and this brings up a whole other conversation that we might have on a later date, which is, what is arena football? Because there are leagues like the American Arena League, the National Arena League, that don't have the rebound net. So, what makes arena football arena football? Or is it just for naming purposes?
Well, that's just how they cover themselves contractually, for good, bad, and indifferent. So that's why they have that rule. Obviously, they want talent just like everybody else, but they have always been, rock steady in regards to their brand, and their brand is arena football. And that's the whole reason why indoor football evolved in the mid to late 90s, basically, because other markets were interested in teams but couldn't afford the Arena League, or didn't fit what they were doing, in regards to the locations that they had their teams placed. So the only way for them to have a team was to have indoor football. And indoor football essentially meant that you did not have rebound nets. So that's where all these other leagues have popped up, and that's where a lot of your confusion pops in. But there's so many layers of agreement, that we're just talking about one thing, then next, scouting. A lot of teams have different philosophies on scouting, how we move players to the next level, how we acquire our players, when and who do we bring in regards to tryouts, scheduling. So there's so many layers that you're asking, basically, grown men that work in football to agree on. And man, I'm telling you right now, man, you're asking, that's asking a lot.
Absolutely. And, a new arena league has kicked off. This one's containing of the Beantown Bullies, the Connecticut Chiefs, the New England Cavalry, the Resurrected Vermont Bucks, and the Mass State Wolverines. This is the New England Arena League. And it's, if you know what the A League is down in Florida, which is similar to the Spring League down in Texas, which is a showcase league of sorts. This is what the New England Arena League is, and it's a place for guys to showcase their talent. And I hope things go well there. They've started live streaming on YouTube, which is great. That's a step in the right direction. They don't have the highest facilities right now because it's a startup league. It's a showcase league, not necessarily a league such as one where the championship trophy dictates all. But these kind of leagues are important because you work with athlete scouting and you help get guys footage for the highlight reels to get them to that next level, and that's what this league does. I think you're seeing it with the A League down in Florida. You're seeing it with the New England Arena League up here in New England. So, good for them for doing that. I hope it does well, but I hope it doesn't deter other leagues from putting teams in the market.
Yeah, it's I'm kind of taking a look at it, and it's kind of like a indoor spring league, like you said, and hey, I have no problems with that, but nobody does that in this industry hardly. So, they don't want to devise a model that let's just say a 2-month model, because one thing that I always say, while you have players that need these leagues as far as stepping stones to get to the next level. Hey, by the time you get there, you don't want your body to be at a point where it can't hold up and can't support your cause. So these leagues that are 6 weeks, 8 weeks, I like those. You can get professional coaching, a chance to still play ball, put good film down, and not take a 14-week, 12-week toll on your body. So I would love to see so many of the arena leagues drop down to that. I think it would give more players an opportunity, more good players an opportunity to take advantage of playing and having the opportunity to get film. And then if the leagues were shorter, it would give them more time after they've proven themselves to get ready for training camp in July.
Yeah, and the Cavalry, partly run by Kevin James, in this New England Arena League, they are going to play the West Virginia Rough Riders of the American Arena League May 27th. And if you haven't heard me gush about the Rough Riders before, we're going to hear me do it now. They are the model organization of the American Arena League with the West Michigan Ironmen. And,
Mm-hmm.
so it shows that the New England Arena League has relations to people and is able to put up a good enough product where arguably the best team in another league is willing to say, hey, we'll play you during an exhibition game. I mean, that's big stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And a chance again. There's always those organizations out there. You see them in all of these leagues, and that's the problem. They're the minority instead of the majority. There's always a team that outclasses everybody sometime in a lot of these little leagues. I don't spend as much time covering them as, say, someone like yourself, because a lot of them are East Coast where you're at, and kudos to you for having these teams around you, to at least be able to cover, follow, report on, what have you. We just don't have that here in the Midwest. I'm trying to think the closest team to where I'm at, even right now, and I'm having trouble. Probably the Wichita Force. That's 6 hours. That's 6 hours away.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Coach, I was the same way up until a couple years ago. Again, I wish, I wish you guys had turf there because you guys are a great market.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people don't realize. And let me think. The Iowa presents probably our closest team at 4 hours, Cedar Rapids. So forgot about the River Kings. Well, that's what you mentioned. The lack of turf. That's really what's presenting a problem why teams and leagues aren't coming in. I don't know. Again, I don't know all the particulars. This and that. I know I do field a lot of calls about leagues coming here, teams coming here, what have you. But it's really a hard venture to put together when the arena doesn't have any existing turf. And if you're asking a team to come in and have turf when they come in, that's a significant expense that a team would have to incur up front. And I just don't know how many owners are in that position or have that type of money to do as such.
Yeah, and I mean, why teams buy turf, get rid of turf, everything that's a whole art in itself, the turf of the game. we talked about this a couple episodes back, and if you want to hear us get more depth into it, I believe we talked about it on our first and second show in detail. So go check those out if you're more interested on the art of the indoor football turf, because it's a lot more complex than you think.
Yeah, most definitely. And a lot of people, that's just something people take for granted. So your venue has to have all the assets um, that are required to be able to put on an indoor and or arena game, and both arena and indoor require turf, football turf, and dasher boards. And you're seeing a lot of weird stuff in some of these lower level leagues, even right now, where it's not my first time seeing it. Somebody use air mattresses or something of that nature.
Air
Uh,
mattresses. Wow, that's
yeah,
weird.
I I think somewhere along the way I gotta even look at this and find it, but it was done about 10 years ago, where there was blow up air mattresses that were all around the arena for an indoor football game, and I've seen it a couple times here recently. I don't know what to remember what leagues or what have you, but it's definitely out there.
Well, I mean, if me and my brother playing around playing on air mattresses can pop one, how is a player going, over, you know, so many miles an hour not gonna pop the darn thing?
I don't know. And like I said, it's the craziest thing in the world. So I'm gonna find the picture and I'm gonna send it to you. So we were talking a little earlier before we really got the show going, and we got a little bit of time left into it. So we appreciate everybody listening in on the Alternative Football News Network.net site, listening to us live, and we appreciate everybody that's tuning in live on Facebook as well. So you're listening to the coach, and that's the kid. But we were talking a little bit about. I lost my train of thought. But we were talking about just the different leagues, and you were mentioning talking about the team in Idaho and how they kind of pulled back on getting any affiliation with, say, the IFL or the CIF, and probably for a lot of good reasons, because they're in a situation now where they probably can complete a season and finish what they're doing and maybe build on it, but there probably would have been a situation where it would have been tough to finish in the IFL or the CIF if you go in your first year at that level.
Yeah, and I mean, respect to the Horsemen for throwing something together that quickly. I mean, they've run into some issues, obviously, but that's expected. I may not agree with everything they do by not broadcasting the games, but hey, you know what? If people show up to these games, and even if the league goes under, but these teams have decent enough attendance, and when I say to some of the bigger leagues, hey guys, there are markets here that have some demand, we should look into them down the line. Because the IFL used to be in the Northwest a lot more. They had the Kent Predators, who were the Seattle Timberwolves, and then became the Everett Raptors. You had the Venom in which I cannot say Wichita Valley. Yakima had a couple teams back in the day. I mean, of course, Portland, Spokane, Tri-Cities. That Northwest area of the United States really has had a good number of teams throughout the years.
Yeah, so what would be really cool is if you could have just kind of your regional one gigantic league that had teams in all the regions, and then you kind of had your playoffs off of that. But that's asking a lot. If you Google Colorado Lightning air mattresses, you'll see a very, very interesting picture. And those air mattresses, I've seen this picture before, and I just noticed something for the first time. If you look behind me, right behind me, I have a AIF. Um, I have an AIF dasher board sticker. That's what that is, okay, behind me. And I'm looking at this Colorado Lightning. They have a Fairfield Inn and Suites by Marriott. They actually have like a dasher board sticker on one of the air mattresses.
No way. I mean,
Yeah, it's
I
just
don't
like,
recommend doing this, but hold on, I'm pulling up the images right Oh, I
Yeah, you
can't
see
believe
that?
I'm seeing
Yeah. So,
that's
like I
something
said, I've
else.
seen it before. I don't even want to name what league it is, even if it's not even in existence anymore. But yeah, if you just Google Colorado Lightning air mattresses, you will see a great picture. What's so funny, and you're looking at it, the air mattresses are the same color as the Lightning uniforms.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of impressive. I'll give him a quick hand for the coordination there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So they did a heck of a job there. So yeah, again, that's what we talk about. You don't want to cut corners. Cutting corners is just the worst thing in the world. And
Especially on safety.
yeah,
Especially on safety.
yeah, player safety, fan safety, are the utmost importance. And you can certainly take a look at a picture like this and see that whoever was responsible for this did not really care much about safety at all.
Yeah, someone kind of dropped the ball here. Cough, cough. A Des Bryant joke insert here.
Yeah.
But you know what? I mean, the fact that it's so rare that it took a minute for us to figure out where the footage of this was shows how much these teams take things seriously a lot of the time.
Yeah, and it's happening more. This was happening when we didn't have so many offshoot leagues springing up. I don't know if it has. But the first time I saw it, I know was a while back, like 2000 something. Now we have so many more leagues springing and popping up, and everybody's trying to cut these corners and do this and do that. That
Yeah, this photo's back from 2012.
Okay, well, there's older ones than that because I know there was a APFL game, I believe, where this happened. But anyway, that's just an example, and that's all we're really talking about. Uh, so it's just funny to see.
And it's just how far the industry has moved forward. So it's a quick moving industry with higher standards every year.
But if I'm a player, and I see this, I'm like, how much does my owner really care about me? I mean, my goodness.
Apparently, it was the team's inaugural game, so I'm hoping if someone can find footage of like them later in the season with dashboards up, I go to sleep a little bit easier.
Yeah, so I don't know. The play the problem is you have some players that are willing to play under those circumstances, and it's a matter of as a player. First of all, a coach should just be like, nope, I'm not going to let my players play on this surface tonight or whatever the case may be. Because it doesn't appear to be safe.
Yeah, I mean, safety is of the utmost importance, especially because we've said before these players are not getting paid these big bucks where you might be willing to risk that. They're getting paid maximum $250 a game.
Right. So they need to take player safety into a good effect. They need to make sure that that's the most important thing while they're trying to play in these leagues.
Yep, and we are starting to run down on time, so
Okay. So again, another good. Appreciate everybody joining us tonight. And before we get out of here, while we got a little bit of time, real quick, RJ, let everybody know how they can get in touch with you during the course of the week before we rejoin everybody here next Monday.
sure, you can find me on Facebook with my name RJ Ciancio. Ciancio spelled Cian, as in Nancy, CIO. You can find me on Twitter at CiancioRJ, or go to my Instagram, RJ underscore Ciancio. And Coach, where can we find you?
You can find me on Facebook. It's real simple, just at Lin, Lin Hart, H-A-R-T, Jr. And then you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at thecoach28. You can also find me on Instagram. My Instagram is thecoach_28. I believe that's it. So that's where you can find me on social media. Again, you make sure that you check out all the alternative football news on the Alternative Football News Network. .net, all the actions there. You can listen to all the great shows there, and make sure that you join us again for the indoor football experience next Monday. It's going to be, we'll be on again with the indoor football experience next Monday, 9:15 Eastern Standard Time. So for RJ the Kid, for Harry, our awesome producer, I'm the coach. We appreciate you, and we'll check you out next week. To all the indoor football fans out there, peace.